Questions? Sandy, or, yeah, whatever.
Joe, roughly 2 years ago, you sat in roughly this spot at Vance Joseph's introductory press conference, and you said you didn't want to be back in a year doing the same thing all over again. It's 2 years later now. How does being back here again sit with you right now?
Not great. It's not something I, or anyone here, John included, wanted to do, but when things go the way they did, you have to make tough decisions and you have to move on, and the goal is to have continuity. Clearly that is more desirable. It's a more effective way of seeing your franchise operate year in and year out. So that will be the goal when we try and hire the next coach. It's disappointing to be here today. It's disappointing for Vance, his family, all the assistant coaches. You know, they're going to stick around and see where we go with a new head coach before they know their fate, I guess. But it's never enjoyable to be in this situation, certainly. Nikki.
Joe, with the ownership stuff, do you expect this to play out in the courts, and how would you like this to all be resolved?
Well, given that it is sort of in the courts, not sort of, and given that we filed for arbitration, that's our preference now. We view that as we view this as an ownership dispute. So obviously that's what we filed with the league. It falls under, in our minds and our attorneys' minds, falls into the category of an ownership dispute, and the league has, in its constitution and bylaws, gives us the ability to put this in front of them. So that's what we're hopeful to do. Ryan.
Joe, follow up on ownership. A couple months ago, Brittany Boland announced her interest in succeeding her father. Do you anticipate her rejoining the team in the near future to begin that kind of transition?
Yeah, I don't know what the near future is exactly. She's, you know, as I said back in July, she finished her MBA at Duke and is now working for McKinsey, a terrific global consulting firm. She's working really hard. I've seen her and talked to her about that. It's 80 hours a week of tremendous experience, traveling all over the country, working on different business case studies and things. It's really great experience, and you know, but there's going to be a role for her, I think, and we don't know when that will be. It's going to be sort of on her timetable as well as on, you know, our conversations with her. So, but she's taken a lot of good steps here moving forward.
Yeah, Joe, you are John Elway's boss, and I was just wondering what you think of the job John has done, and are you asking anything of him as far as his personnel staff, demanding any changes at all that way?
I'll answer the second part of that, Mike. I don't make any demands. I've had a lot of, as I said when I opened up the presser here today, had a lot of conversations with John about things that we need to do to improve, and you know, he has full authority to make these decisions. I have faith in him, I really do, and you saw the fire that's in him and his competitive fire, and you know, I know it eats at him just like it eats at all of us, but probably more so for him, given how important this is and how important being successful is. When you look at what he did as a player for this organization, and then moving forward when he came back in 2010, and the you know, end of 2010, with the 11th season, the success that we had, really right out of the bat, we're able to win the division title, win a playoff game. And then after that, you know, certainly a good 4-year run, and so we've had a lot of success, and John knows what that looks like, and he's done some good things, hired some good coaches. One of them helped us win a Super Bowl, another got us to another Super Bowl. He's brought in good players. We had a shift in kind of philosophy where we went from an offensive team, quite a juggernaut back in 2013, over from 14 and 15 to a team that was largely won the Super Bowl with a great defense. He knew what it would take to orchestrate that and be the architect of that. These last years haven't gone as well as any of us would want. John said up here, he said, I got to look in the mirror. Well, he's not the only one, okay? And that goes for everybody that works under him, works for him, everybody that coaches here, and it goes for me too, myself. So, you know, I think there are ways maybe that I can insert myself. I don't meddle in football operations. I'm not going to do that. But if I can be helpful in facilitating greater collaboration and communication and getting everybody on the same page, if I haven't done that, which I may not have done as well as I should have, I'll do it now moving forward.
Joe, you've stressed the importance of continuity. Does the next head coach have to have kind of more of a seat at the table regarding how the roster is put together, or even the draft? It felt like Vance, perhaps because of his inexperience, did not have that kind of, he wasn't empowered that way.
Well, I don't know that that's necessarily true, what you said at the end of your statement there. I mean, when I went to draft meetings, which was far and few between, or looked into the room and wanted to gaze at the board and guess who we'd take, Vance was in the room. I feel like John had an inclusive, feel like he has an inclusive approach to that. I suspect he will going forward. You know, that's not just in coaching, but that's in free agency. Some of the guys that were brought in here this year played for Vance at previous teams. So, you know, I think John will be inclusive going forward. I mean, he's going to do whatever it takes to get us back on the winning track. And it's been a while. He recognizes that. And it's frustrating. But I think collaboration will take place moving forward. Arnie.
Joe, two questions. One, will the new coach be empowered to hire his own staff? I know you've got a lot of guys that are under contract. And then secondly, do you think this is as attractive an opening as it was 2 years ago?
Yeah, the second one I do. I feel like this is a good place to come to work, and it's a job that a coach can really embrace and get excited about from this standpoint. This is a great place to live, and this is a good place to work, and we have a fantastic fan base that keeps their thumb on this team day in and day out, and that gets you energized and gets you excited about working here. So I believe this is a good opportunity. You know, we had you know, double-digit first-year or rookie players contributing on the field this year, and I'm really excited about that group. I know John is, and a new coach should be too. It'll be, you know, before you know it, during a short period of time, that group of guys will become a core part of the team. I talked to him actually in the defensive line room on Saturday morning and told him how impressed I was with how they stuck with it as a group. You know, they played hard in every other game, and every single game, excuse me. And I think that reflected on, carried its way up to some of the vets, and you know, guys put in great effort all year long. So I was impressed with that group, and I told them they should be proud of the work they did. And so they'll be the core of the team. I'm excited about that, and I would think a new coach would be too. Now we got to do a good job again this year. Got to do a good job in free agency. And then hopefully a coach comes in here with an approach that teaches, captures the players' attention, and puts them in a position where they can succeed. What was your first question?
Will the new coach be empowered to build his staff?
Yeah, I think so. I think John will collaborate, work together with him on that. And I do think that will be the case, yes.
Two questions as well, sorry. First one is, when Pat stepped down, or even before then, did you have any sense or anticipate at all that a dispute could arise in this ownership situation, just given the setup? And then the second question is, any update on stadium naming rights?
Yeah, the first one. I didn't, you know, when Pat stepped down, I think I ought to clarify something, because I know the ownership question keeps coming up and it's important to people, and you know, you want an outcome of some kind, and it looks messy, and I understand that. But a long time ago, well before Pat got ill and was taken down with Alzheimer's, he talked to me about his succession plan, and he asked me to help him with that. and serve in a role in the event that he decided to retire or was somehow no longer here or was incapacitated or whatever the case may be. He wasn't planning on that, by the way, at that time. But when he asked me to do that, I took that on as a pretty large responsibility. I was humbled by that. And, you know, he laid out his plan. And I've told you what that plan was. You know, we're going to follow Pat's plan. We're not going to follow anyone else's plan. We're going to follow Pat's plan. And that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to carry out. I know exactly what he told me. You know, in terms of squabbles and where we are in the courts, you know, I would have rather not seen that. It's disappointing, but it's here. On naming rights, you know, we sort of have bigger problems than naming rights. And I know you want us name on the stadium, and everybody does. And you know, we were having conversations. They're going well. There's some stuff going on down at the stadium that's going to involve development that we think will tie into this, and that's a few months away before, maybe a little bit longer before that gets unveiled. You know, you got to get the right partner, and it's important to get the right deal. And I'm very patient with that. And if it causes anxiety, I think I'll just have to respect that. But I will say I got a few other things on the plate that probably need to be addressed at this point.
Joe, the cultural landscape has changed a lot in the last couple of years. The Me Too movement, everything. The Lions had an issue that came up last year. How will you guys conduct your coaching search in terms of background checks, and will there be anything different that you guys do this time just in terms of fully vetting the candidates that you guys will consider?
Yeah, I don't know how much different it'll be. It'll be fully vetted and it'll be thorough, and you have to do that with everybody, including assistants and just about anybody you hire nowadays in a position of authority. You have to ask some tough questions, and you have to do significant research. So it will be a thorough background check for sure. Yeah.
John always said he doesn't like the word rebuilding because that sounds like an excuse. And I understand that goes against his competitive nature. But he also said this league is all about parity, and eventually that catches up with you. It seems to me that this team's tried to put a patch on it, on this roster for a couple years. Do you feel like, given the demands of your fan base, you can communicate the fact that you have to rebuild and it does take some time? Or is that even an option?
I don't like the word rebuild either. I like the word building, and I think we've got a core group of young guys, as I said earlier, that are going to establish that. You know, I'm not naive. We have a ways to go. I think our fan base understands that, but they want to see progress, and we need to make more. We need to have more progress moving forward. No question about it. So, but you can turn it around quickly in this league. You can. You know, you need players to be put in a position where they can win. You need players, your key players, to play well. John mentioned that. Your quarterback has to play well. Case is our quarterback. He can play better. That's what he said. You know, you have to hope that those things occur. But you can do that. And if you want to call it a rebuild or a retool or whatever you want to call it, you know, we're trying to build our team and get back to successful, or to an era of success like we've had in the past. And sure, we got a ways to go, but we can do it. We can do it in a short period of time.
Joe, what would it mean for you to see Pat Bowlen be elected into the Hall of Fame in a few weeks when that's voted on?
It'd be a great moment, a nice moment for him, you know, and I wish he could be more of a part of it. It'll certainly be nice for his family. You know, he won't be there to accept that. I tell you what, if someone else could sneak in there with him, that would make him really happy. Especially if it was Steve Atwater or Champ Bailey, two of his favorite players. That would mean a lot to him. So, his credentials speak for themselves. I anticipate and believe strongly that he will officially get voted in on the Saturday before the Super Bowl, and that will be a great moment.
Yeah, Joe, the Bill Bolin lawsuit did levy some pretty strong accusations against you and your leadership, how the team has deteriorated under your leadership, that you don't answer to anybody. Maybe that,
Anything else?
Yeah. But that, you want to, Brittany is maybe the favored one because it keeps you in power longer. What do you say about some of those accusations?
Accusations, allegations, we don't agree with. We think they're false. I do too. And that will play out in a proper forum. And as I said earlier, Pat instructed the trustees, he instructed me individually, he designated me to succeed him in a transition period with a plan to see if a child could come forward and earn the right to sit in his chair. So those were Pat's orders to me. He's done a lot for me and a lot for my family, so I'm going to see that through.
Stupid question here, Joe. But do you look at this history of this team in two, back-to-back losing seasons for the first time? So many franchises have endured losing seasons consecutively. Do you ever look back and say, we have become somewhat the victim of our own success here, our expectations? No. The expectations are there for a reason, and I think they help us create a sense of urgency to be successful each and every year. Having said that, no one is entitled to success. No one. Not myself, not John, not a player, not a coach, not a staff member, no one. It requires hard work. You can't go around and look at slogans and see trophies in the lobby and expect it's going to happen. You have to work at it, and we've got a lot of work to do.
Head coaching hire and rebuilding the fan base's trust in this franchise to get back to the top?
Oh, I think it's as important as the last one was, if not more so, given what's happened here. So, it's going to be a thorough search. John's going to lead it. And, the important thing, one of the things I told John last week is make sure you spend a considerable amount of time with the candidate one-on-one. And John agreed, so that you kick everybody out of the room and you get a good feel for where this next coach is coming from on philosophy, scheme, leadership, all of that stuff, which John knows and John understands. And as I said, I'm very confident that he'll pick the right coach. Yeah.
Joe, you've had a number of players this year, especially in the losing season, take an even bigger role outside of football in the community, be it Von Miller, Brandon Marshall, Will Parks. What do you think of all that as president of this franchise?
I told the players on Thanksgiving Day I've never seen a group of guys commit themselves to this community and other communities in which they live, frankly, as deeply and as passionately as this group did. And that's a tribute to a couple of people in the back, Liz and Allie, for garnering the players' interest, getting them fired up about things, as well as the players, feeling passionate about their own initiatives. Brandon did a ton of great stuff for us in the community. He's not the only one. I take too long to name every player, but I'm really proud of the work that those guys did. I really am, and I told them that on Thanksgiving Day.
Last one, Zach.
Joe, you mentioned how you want to see Pat Bolin's wishes come true. How long are you willing to wait for a child to emerge, and how long are you comfortable with the trust or the trust in control of the organization?
Well, I'd love to speed it up and put it on fast forward, but we're going to take the time, and I'm going to take the time to ensure that we have the right person and that he or she is ready to do the job. It's a big job, and it's an important job, and it's not just important to the family or to people here. It's important to the community, the fan base, to the NFL, to Pat's partners. It's a big, big job, and it bears a lot of responsibility. So we will be very careful and deliberate and diligent in our decision process to make sure that the right person is put in place. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you.